Hi. So I just wanted to, make this video. Quarantine's been, I've been playing games and watching anime and doing all, recently got back into anime and stuff. And yeah, I was just scouring YouTube and, going on Twitter, doing my usual daily shit, just stuff in the web and stuff. And yeah, I kind of just got inspired to make this video, really. I don't know what it's been, but the last couple of days I've just kind of seen like it's taken me back to like those old days, like when I first joined YouTube, and um, I was talking with KOL and Uber Ikari and Zoro Fanboy, Joten, and like everyone from that era, Uber Blackman, obviously the group that I was a part of with the Phantom Group and Merlin and Anime Hero. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to make this video as of late. Honestly, this video I could have probably made like a couple years earlier, maybe like 2018 when Super was coming around. But yeah, I mean, I just feel inspired to make this video now for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, I for whatever reason, I just feel inspired. So, um, for a couple things I want to establish before I get into it, though, I'm not going to be talking about Dragon Ball Super in this. I mean, I'm sure I don't expect this video to blow up that much, so I won't go into a detailed response why. But I mean, just to quickly summarize, I guess if you followed my channel for a while or you watch my streams, you know I'm not including Super here. There's all the million and one reasons. So that's point number one, and point number two is this is not going to be a character analysis. I've already done a character analysis for Goku. This is not going to be that. This is not going to be an overlook of his entire journey over the course of the series. I'll certainly be talking about his character, but it's not going to be as comprehensive as that character analysis that I made however many years ago. Speaking of which, I probably have to redo my Piccolo one because I was watching it the other day, just out of curiosity. I really don't go back and watch some of my older vids, right? I'm talking about like vids from like way back then, but I went back and I watched it and I was just like, oh my god, that yellow lighting is just so awful. And I love Piccolo, so I want to. And plus the fact that I put like a news segment in there, I didn't like the fact that it came with that and a character analysis. Character analysis should be by itself. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and re-upload that at some point, hopefully soon. But yeah, this is going to be this video is going to be talking about the cleverness of Goku's character. More specifically, the reason. Not I don't want to say necessarily a well written or a badly written character. That's not what video is about. It's more so the cleverness of how Toriyama wrote his character and the lasting effects of Goku's character on the shonen archetype. Right. Uh, that's a good on shonen manga in general, right? And when you hear that phrase, you probably already think, oh, I mean, yeah, he's at the archetype, for the shonen main character, not the smartest in the book, eats a lot, friendly, extroverted, all that stuff, right? And yeah, you are right about that, but that's the obvious things. I think anyone that's watched quite a bit of anime or read a bit of Shonen Jump manga, you start to make the similarities and connect the dots and whatnot. You can come to that conclusion on your own. You don't need to watch this video for me to tell you that, right? That's obvious. So that's another thing. I mean, like I'll talk about it a little bit. I guess. I guess I'll talk about it now, where it's kind of like, obviously, Goku. He's that archetype, right? For that character, and or for that he's the foundation for that archetype of character, and certainly he should be celebrated for it. Toriyama should be celebrated for creating it, right? But this the cleverness of Goku's writing rather than just him being the foundation for an archetype of character. There is so much more to that, right? Um, I mean, but even if you just wanted to go the archetype route, if you just wanted to compare him to like every other character, like Luffy, or I don't know, I don't read Black Clover, but Asta, he has his differences too. He's not as loud as Luffy. He's not as boisterous a character as Luffy is, or even as extroverted a character as Luffy is. In fact, if you go on Google and you type in Toriyama Akimoto, Akimoto 1990 interview, and you look for a link from Kanzenshu, Toriyama actually talks about how he writes Goku to be a lone wolf, right? And for some of you that might not sound that might sound like kind of out of the blue, like what, a lone wolf, but it's true. This was from 1990, so this would be around the time when the Saiyan arc was kind of winding down, or the Namek arc was starting up. So somewhere around there, right? But that's one thing compared to Asta. He's not as like obnoxious, or as, I don't want to say obnoxious. I don't know anything about the character. He seems obnoxious from what I've seen, but he's not as loud or as impatient, and he's not as hot blooded, and just kind of loses his temper a little bit, if you will. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people kind of they tend to attribute the wrong traits to Goku, right? They say that he's impatient. He's not really an impatient character. Really, the only time that I can, and again, we're excluding Dragon Ball Super here, right? The only time that I can think of him being impatient in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z was when Krillin died, right, in the King Piccolo arc. But even then, that was kind of justifiable because he was driven by, or not justifiable, but like, that was a very human emotion. That was a very childish reaction to have, because because his friend just died and he was driven by rage, right? He's not the fact he might be hot-blooded, I guess, or he loses his temper a lot. Not really. That's something that's more like Vegeta, and I honestly even more so Gohan than it is Goku, right? Because he's a lot more laid back. He's a lot more, sure, he's not the smartest guy in the book, but if you go to those first early arcs of Dragon Ball, you can actually see that he went to school with Krillin. Like, Roshi taught him like how to read and write. Which reading and writing that's not like some like advanced, like high level sort of sense of education, but the idea there is that Goku he has some intelligence to him. I mean, in Kaioken, like, he knows what he can say. Kaioken times 2, Kaioken times 20 times 4. Like, he knows like what these numbers are and like how to multiply and shit, right? So it's not that he's like a total dumbass. Like, he doesn't just know anything. That's not what he is, right? But again, he's not like the smartest guy in the book. Obviously he's not as smart as Gohan or Bulma, right? But the guy's not an idiot. That's the point I'm trying to make. But he has his idiotic moments, sure. And, other characters that, and again, I said that this video was going to talk about the lasting effects on shonen. You look at other characters in shonen manga and, how maybe uneducated or how, idiotic or dumb they are, whether it's at school or something else, or they may just not know something, or they might be oblivious to something, that's another thing. So, again, like, he definitely should be celebrated for that, right? The fact that, even though, like, some traits are attributed wrongly to him, or some traits of his were grossly exaggerated by other characters in other series, and then they plastered those exaggerations back onto him. He should be celebrated for setting that archetype, and Toriyama should be celebrated for writing him that way, right? But this video wants to go beyond that. I want to talk about the cleverness then of his character, and the cleverness of his character, or one facet of the cleverness of Goku's character comes from how antithetical he is to, how antithetical he is to Shonen Jump. If you consider Shonen Jump the magazine and the types of values that they try to espouse and the types of manga that they've always showcased, or they've had run in their magazine, you look at those main characters, you look at quote unquote the good guys in Shonen, everything is so much about being friends with someone, or what's the theme? It's like friendship, victory, and effort. That's the theme of Shonen Jump manga, right? Like, I think that's actually like that's a legit like official slogan, if I'm not mistaken. Friendship, victory, and effort. And I'm sure it's somewhere there on Google. I'm sorry, I should have pulled it up in a tab, but or actually, you know what? Maybe I can do that right now. Let's why don't we give it a try? So if we go to Google, right? Let's just type in friendship, effort, victory. Oh, there we go. Yeah, friendship, effort, victory, Shonen Jump. Shows up in the search bar alone. Yeah, that was the golden Shonen Jump motto, right? So you think about these things, friendship, effort, and victory, and you think about, Goku as a main character for sure, right? Goku as a main character for sure has, symbolizes those three things. Obviously, he has friends. His best friend is Krillin. He works hard. He was born with the power. Well, if you go by the original continuity, he's born with the power level of 2, and obviously he works his way up to be eventually this. Well, it's a little open-ended at the end of the manga whether he is stronger or not, but I'm gonna say he's the strongest at the end of the manga, right? To be the strongest warrior in the entire series, discounting Super, of course. We don't know what's gonna happen with Super, and then Victory. The guy. It's strange with Victory because he wins a lot, but he also loses a lot, and this is how I want to talk about like his antithetical qualities I think that's a good segue into this. So the reason Goku is antithetical when it comes to those sorts of things, well, obviously with the victory part, he loses the tournament, the 22nd and the 21st World Tournaments in the finals, right? He doesn't win those. He doesn't defeat Cell, and he needs, in the final battle against Boo, he needs, you know, the help of his friends to defeat Boo, and he himself is not stronger than Boo when he defeats him anyway, right? With the Genki Dama and all that. So, and if you guys want, this is not a Boo strength debate, but I made a video on that. You can go check it out. It's called, I think, ranking Majin Buu power level or something like that. I don't remember, the power scaling or something like that. I don't know, but it's on my channel. You can go ahead and find it. I just put it out like 3 months ago or not, whatnot, right? So that's certainly one way with the victory part, but the antithetical part of his character comes from the like how villainous and poisonous his character is, and what I mean by that is people kind of see Goku as like, you know, as a hero in the same way that they see like Superman or Batman or Spider-Man or Luke Skywalker, or you know, he's a very like you know, popular and iconic hero, if you will, right? Like he's a hero, and again, he is a hero, but and rightfully so, he should be seen as a hero. But sometimes his personality and his behavior and his actions, they do the opposite of those things, right? He does things that are not heroic, and that's what I want to talk about here. Because if you look at all like different shonen protagonists, like let's say look at I don't know, Naruto. Let's look at Meliodas. Let's look at Ippo from Hajime no Ippo. Let's look at, list goes on. Let's look at, I don't know, Toriko, or you know, Gintoki, or you know, you name it, right? All these different characters, and they all seem like good people and good guys, right? Goku, on the other hand, even though he set the archetype for like good-natured and quote-unquote good main characters, like good-natured main characters or heroic main characters, he himself has done villainous and unheroic things, you know? And that really starts with his the Z portion of the story, when, you know, his whole Saiyan heritage is revealed, and how he accepts that, and how he has to go with the fact of, you know, reconciling with the fact that he's a part of like this evil warrior race. Because, you know, when Raditz shows up, you know, he has this look of shock and just total like confusion and, you know, disbelief on his face. And then obviously when Vegeta dies against Frieza, he has like that whole you know, I understand, you know, what it means to be a Saiyan. I understand like the pride of the Saiyan race, you know, and so like he understands it, and he accepts it, and he soaks himself in it, right? But what does this have to do with his antithetical qualities? This is where the antithetical qualities come into play, because this kind of makes him an anti-hero a little bit. Because unlike all those characters that I listed before, he's willing to put the sake of the planet and innocent people and his friends and family at risk just for the sake of fighting. And that is not a heroic thing to do, and that is not a good-natured thing to do. That's not a moral thing to do. In fact, you know, it wouldn't be too far to say that is like pretty much downright evil, if you really want to be like that super extreme with it. And you know, there's truth to that. And this is why Goku's character is so cleverly written, because he set the archetype for that. He set the foundation for that archetype of main character in Shonen Jump series, right? Like good-natured, friendly, extrovert, or whatever. But that foundation that he set is juxtaposed, and it's contrasted with the fact that he can do very immoral things, like what I'm speaking about, like him not electing to kill Dr. Gero because he wants to, you know, even though the fate of the world is at risk, even though innocent people could die, he's willing to do that just for the sake of a good fight. He's willing to let Vegeta go, a mass murderer, right? Someone who's killed millions of people, or I don't know, millions of people, but he's killed a lot of people across the universe before he came to Earth, right? Willing to let him go just for the sake of a good fight. What else? With Boo, he's willing to, or sorry, not with Boo. Well, in the Boo arc, he's willing to threaten the Kaioshin's life, the overseer of the entire universe, just to have a fight with Majin Vegeta, right? So he has like all these different moments, and I know I said I wouldn't talk about Super, but I think I should mention this this moment from Super, because it's going to tie into something that I'm going to talk about later. It's about when the Tournament of Power starts, how he's the one that initiates the Tournament of Power, or starts talking about the Tournament of Power, even though, you know, all these universes are going to be eradicated. And in the end, they are not, right? In the end, they're not. In the end, it was just trying to see, like, what would you use your wish for and all this stuff, right? Like, if you win, you get the Super Dragon Balls. What are you gonna wish for, right? If you don't wish the the destroy universes back, like you're gonna die. But you did the right moral thing, so it all comes full circle in that respect, right? But the initiation of that was that Goku, he initiated a tournament without caring about the fate of the universe, or the fate of those universes, I should say, right? And the fate of his own universe, Universe 7. Now, does he always do this? No. He's always thought about, the sake of innocent people, and he's always thought about the sake of the universe. One instance is like when he's charging the Genki Dama against Frieza, and then he has that inner dialogue about how he says that if he doesn't defeat Frieza here, the entire universe is gonna die, or some some line of dialogue like that. So he has his heroic qualities there. He elects to fight Vegeta in a barren wasteland because there's no animals, there's no life around there that can be disturbed or harmed by their fight. When he and Gohan, I think they see the when they're going towards the Boo, when they're going towards Babidi and Dabura's spaceship, they see like those people that were killed near their spaceship, and then I think it's only Gohan that reacts like that, but I'm sure Goku himself is pretty pissed off at that too. So for all the moments that he does not care about the fate of the universe, he does have moments where he does care about the fate of the universe, right? But the cleverness of his character comes because he's able to do something as immoral as that, and it's juxtaposed and it's contrasted with his good-natured behavior and his good-natured personality and his friendly and extroverted personality. That's why it's so clever. And even though he's seen as like the ultimate hero, like such an iconic hero, he does unheroic things. And I think that really makes for a cleverly written character. I think that's awesome. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is like how this extends to, Shonen Jump as a whole. How this, and again, this is another reason why, this feeds into the cleverness of his character. And I really want to talk about three characters in particular, right? So I said before that his character, in terms of the good-naturedness, the friendliness, and all that stuff, the extroverted, the quote-unquote typical main shonen character stuff, those traits are apparent in the not necessarily that they started with him, but he is credited as the foundation of that character archetype. Right now, if you really wanted to get technical, you can probably go before that. He wasn't the first character to have like villainous or or he's not the first character to be heroic and to be unheroic at times too, right? Like if you look at a character, I'm pretty sure this was the shonen at the time. Look at Akira Fudo and Devilman. Akira Fudo was a wimpy guy, but then once he absorbed the power of, or not absorbed, but once he inherited the power of Amon, the greatest demon in general in Satan's army, he became a very vicious and bloodlusted character. So you had that contrast of wimpiness and, I guess you could say good nature. I don't know. People tend to equate wimpiness and good-naturedness as one and the same. I just kind of say wimpiness and violence, if you will. He was the first kind of main character to do that. Even like the good-natured stuff. Kinnikuman, which is known as Ultimate Muscle here in America, or which was known as Ultimate Muscle here in America when it was playing on Foxbox. I forget, I don't remember the dude's name, but that main character, he was known for combining humor with good-naturedness and strength, right? So it's not that Goku's necessarily the first guy to do this, but if you're talking about the modern shonen main character, he is credited as, the foundation of that archetype. But like I said, there's three characters that I want to talk about because, and really you can see these guys as his sons, right? And I don't say son in a disrespectful way. I say son like in a in a very like respectful and like proud way, right? So although those good-natured qualities can be attributed to these three characters, the fucked up parts about his character that I was just talking about, like risking the fate of the sake of the world for a good fight, you can attribute those things to these three characters that I'm about to talk about. And one you've probably already guessed is Luffy. The other one is, the second is Gon, and the third is Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho. And again, I kind of want to preface this by saying that if your exposure to Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho has only been the English dub of the anime, you need to kind of erase that from your memory, if you will, and either go watch the Japanese versions of the anime, or, and I would urge you to do this, read the manga instead. Especially read the manga for both Dragon Ball and Yu Yu Hakusho. I would say more so in the case of Yu Yu Hakusho, because there's quite a good amount of differences between the Yu Yu Hakusho manga and the Yu Yu Hakusho anime, and then that's just the sub versions, right? And then that's, if you want to go with the differences between the literal translation and Viz Manga's translation, that's a whole nother video. Then you can do like the English Funimation dub versus, you know, Togashi's manga. Like that's a whole, there's so many differences, right? But if you really want to know what Togashi was writing with Yu Yu Hakusho, you should read the manga. You should read the manga, because the art and the mood and the storytelling, like how he panels things and all this stuff, it kind of tells the way that you experience that story is different, in my opinion. And again, Yu Yu Hakusho is my second favorite shonen and manga and just general series ever. The way that you experience Yu Yu Hakusho's story is different in manga form than it is when you watch the Funimation dub anime. So you got to read the manga if you really want to know what Yoshihiro Togashi was, you know, writing his characters to be like. But yeah, no. So these three characters, right, Luffy, Gon, and Yusuke, they're kind of, I mean, like I said, everyone kind of credits like Naruto and, you know, Toriko and all these good natured characters to Goku, and sure there are similarities there, but the three guys that have the strongest similarity with Goku are those three that I just mentioned: Luffy, Gon, and Yusuke. And I'd probably say Yusuke is probably the most similar to Goku in terms of his character development. Luffy maybe more so with like the general personality in the air. Even Yusuke, I would say, just the general personality in the air. I mean, again, if your only exposure is kind of like the Funimation dub, you just kind of see him as like this foul mouth that always cursing, but that's just a very exaggerated take on Yusuke. Yusuke is not like that in Togashi's manga. I mean, he does curse, don't get me wrong, he does curse and he does, you know, say bad shit and all this stuff, right? But he doesn't say it like 24/7 or as often as he does in Funimation's dub. He doesn't sound as pissed off or as sarcastic. That's the point that I'm trying to get at. But what are the similarities between these three characters and Goku's character? If I start with Luffy, the superficial similarities are there, right? Like the fact that they eat a lot, the fact that they, they're not the brightest bunch, they're not the brightest bulb in the bunch, right? They like to fight, you know. There's a whole bunch of like, not a whole bunch, but like there's similarities between them, right? But this unheroic quality that I was talking about with Goku, him being able to or him being able to risk the sake of him being able to take innocent lives and risk them for the sake of a good fight, even if it means them being killed. This is also reflected in Luffy, and not necessarily through what I just talked about, not necessarily through risking civilian lives. The antithetical qualities in Goku's character and how that reflects in Luffy, that is expressed in quite a few ways, right? So first of all, Luffy's a pirate. That's the first thing, right? Luffy's a pirate. He's a criminal. He doesn't necessarily save. I mean, I'm sure he cares. When he sees like, you know, injustice, like he'll try to do something about it, right? Like if he saw like some kid being bullied, I'm sure like he'd stop him. I don't think Oda would write Luffy to just have him walk by the kid, him being bullied, at least without giving him some sort of like pep talk or some sort of like, you know, stop it with your own fists or use your own strength or something like that, right? I'm sure like, and Luffy kind of has done that too before, right? Like with Kobe, you know, Luffy has never hesitated to call Kobe weak, like you're still weak, especially early on, right? So that's certainly one way in which, you know, Luffy's kind of seen like as an unheroic character, in that he's a pirate, and that he doesn't necessarily do things out of you know, goodwill, if you will. One of the things Oda likes to say is that, you know, he doesn't like to share his meat, right? And personally, I've just never understood this, or I don't understand like why he needs to make that distinction, because every time that there's a party at the end of the arc, you see Luffy, you know, not maybe not sharing food with people, but like he knows that there's a lot of food and everyone is enjoying it, right? So I don't understand like why Oda says that, but you know, that's a whole nother different, you know, that's not what this video is about, right? But this ability, to not share, to be a pirate, that kind of shows the unheroic characteristics in Luffy's character, right? But the most important unheroic characteristic in Luffy's character that he shares with Goku was what I was talking about with Goku when he says that he risks. You remember how I said that he risks? Like with Dr. Gero, like with Vegeta, like with the Kaioshin and all these other characters. When he risks the sake of his friends and family for the sake of a good fight, Luffy has done the same thing too. In fact, Luffy has had a quote where he says that it's not enough to risk your life, risk our life with yours. And Luffy is willing to risk his friends and his crew's life just for the sake, not just for the sake. I don't like to say just for the sake, because that implies that it's some very shallow goal, and it could be a shallow goal. It could be a shallow goal, such as becoming the Pirate King or sailing across the world. But Luffy is willing to do that for the sake of a great adventure. And if you went up to someone and you told them, "Hey, I know this guy. He has lifelong friends, right? But he's willing to risk their lives for the sake he's willing to risk their lives for the sake of going on a great adventure." That would kind of be seen as immoral, right? Now, the other thing is that it's seen as very bold and brave and adventurous. And we're just talking about Luffy's character here, right? I'm not really considering the fact that his crew, they follow him, they willingly follow him, into life or death, right? They willingly do that, and obviously they respect him, they love him like they're like their own family, right? So if they're okay with it, then no, everyone else should be too. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the way that shared character trait of risking people's lives that they care about, right? Of just letting them go, or putting them in danger, they're willing to do that for the sake of what they find to be fun, and for the sake of what they find to be interesting. So yeah, that's certainly one. That's certainly one character there, like right there with Luffy, right? The second character that I wanted to talk about was Gon, and Gon's character, again, he's very similar to. I mean, all of them are extremely similar to Goku too, right? But Gon, like Goku, is very, happy. He's very good-natured on the surface, but as we see in the Chimera Ant arc, his character and personality can go down such a dark route, right? Like, obviously, anyone who's watched Hunter x Hunter, if you remember the Chimera Ant arc, Gon's descent into darkness, if you will, and revenge, very similar to what happened with Goku, because when Krillin died, right? When Krillin died, in the King Piccolo arc, and Goku as a kid, he went after Tambourine and all this, right? During that entire arc of the King Piccolo arc, Goku was very driven by revenge, and he brutally kills people, man. He has brutal kills. Now, maybe it's not as brutal as say something like Yu Yu Hakusho or Berserk or even Hunter x Hunter. But when he kicks Drum's head in, and you see like his brains and like his eyeballs and blood just splatter all over, he just kicks him once in the head and that's it, right? He's so driven by the deaths of Krillin, Roshi, and Chaozu that that Goku in the King Piccolo arc, he's not a quote unquote, he's not a good boy, right? He's not a good boy. He's not a cute good boy. He's out for blood. And again, that's the unheroic or the villainous part of his character, which is reflected in Gon. Because Gon does the same thing, right? Obviously, Kite dies. Kite does come back at the end of the arc, right? He comes back as a woman or as a young girl, right? But the fact that Gon, he was willing to threaten Komugi's life just to settle things with Pito, goes to show you like how unheroic and how extreme this character can get, right? And you see Gon, his obviously, like, that's probably the biggest and the most direct and the most memorable moment of him, quote unquote, of his character going down an unheroic path or a non-good path. But even when you think of things like when he, I don't know, even simple things like going into an underground black market auction, right, in York New City, which, maybe not that in itself makes someone a criminal, but the fact that he does that and the fact that he's, talking like almost like he's friends, with like villainous characters like Illumi and the Phantom Troop and all these different criminals that do horrific, fucked up things, right? The fact that he's doing that can help to show you how messed up Gon can be as a character, and I think that's great. And again, like what I'm saying with Goku and Luffy, that contrast of good-naturedness and friendliness and extrovertedness, you contrast that with the fucked up parts of his character. I think it makes for an interesting character. And finally, we get to Yusuke. Yusuke, and I said before that if you look at Goku's character development, whether the two main ways, right, him learning how to kill, which is mainly from, I mean, I guess you can really say it started in the 23rd King Piccolo arc, 23rd World Tournament / King Piccolo arc, and it ends with Frieza's defeat on Namek, right? And then you later see how Goku pushes Gohan to kill Cell, how he is ready to kill Dabura, how he himself kills Yakan, and obviously later Buu with the Genki-Dama, right? That ability to learn how to kill, and again, I don't want to make this a Goku character analysis video per se, but his ability to do that is shared with Yusuke too, because Yusuke, he struggles with the idea of killing as well, because in the Chapter Black arc, what Goku was going through with killing, Yusuke does that with Doctor in the Chapter Black arc. And the fucked up parts of their characters are also shown like later in the series, because Goku's a Saiyan, and like we said, we all know Saiyans are not good people. Now again, we're excluding Dragon Ball Super, so we're not counting good Saiyans and Universe 6 Saiyans and the fact that there are actually 5 good-natured Saiyans and Super Saiyan God. We're not including that for obvious reasons. I know again, just because it messes with the original manga and the lore from the original manga is what I mean, right? So we're not really messing with that. But the fact that Goku was a Saiyan and he accepted his heritage and he learned what it meant to be a Saiyan, it was the same thing with Yusuke and him being a demon. I mean, Yusuke was already a high school delinquent, so his change of character was not as drastic as Goku's was. Goku was a good boy, good man, and then he finds this out, and then Goku's character starts to do immoral things, right? Yusuke, on the other hand, already started out as like a high school delinquent, was already, smoking, already drinking, right? Already doing, pretty immoral things. And the fact that he's a demon kind of just, it fits a little more, I would say, naturally with his original character, right? Whereas with Goku's character, it's much more of a change. It's much more of a change to his character. Still fits, organically and naturally with Goku, but I'm just saying, if you're an evil person to begin with, and then you find out that you are a demon, that path is not as windy, if you will, right? But in the case of Goku, he was a good boy, and then he found out like he was a fucked up Saiyan, right? And he still retained his humanity, even though he was a Saiyan. So Goku's path down that road, if you will, was a little more windy. But yeah, no. So again, what is the fucked up part of Goku's character? How does that reflect itself in Yusuke? It's when, after his demon heritage is revealed, remember the Three Kings arc? Yusuke is the organizer of that, and Yusuke willingly organized that whole tournament knowing that, he might lose, knowing that he wasn't yet strong enough to defeat either Yomi or Makuro. So he knew that the entire human population might die because of him. And at the end of the arc, at least in the anime, I don't remember if this was, I think it was in the manga, but I do remember in the anime, he has his final, after he loses to Yomi, he has a talk with Koenma, and he straight up tells Koenma, or Koenma tells him, you weren't using your head, you were just, could you imagine what would have happened if Enki, who is Raizen's buddy, if he hadn't won? What would have happened if Yomi won? Then the entire human population would have been eaten alive and killed off. And he says like, yeah, I know, but I wasn't using my head. I was just doing that because I enjoyed fighting, and who is that like? Just like Goku. And that's why I talked about Dragon Ball Super with the Tournament of Power, because although we didn't need that Dragon Ball Super moment to showcase Goku's motivation, that he's done this before, but we needed Dragon Ball Super to show you that the same action was taken by Goku that Yusuke did in Super, right? The motivation was already there way before. It was way there before Yusuke even said it to Koenma, right? I mean, like I said, Goku had it with Jiro, Goku had it with Vegeta. You've seen it already before Yusuke did it with Koenma, right? But I included the Dragon Ball Super moment because I wanted to show you guys that the action that Goku took was the same as Yusuke's in the Three Kings arc in Yu Yu Hakusho. Um, so yeah, I mean that's honestly like you. That's kind of like the point of this whole video, right? I just wanted to explain to you guys and explain to the world really like Goku's cleverly written because even though he is credited with being like a good guy and being the founding father for a lot of shonen main characters and them being good boy characters or good guy characters, being heroic or being good natured and being friendly, there is a fucked up part of Goku's character that has permeated itself a little bit through, through Jump. And the fact that Goku is seen as like a poster boy shonen main hero, but he has these fucked up qualities that are so antithetical that probably children should not know about, right? It's just, to me, it's just beautiful. It's just insanely cleverly written. And the fact that Oda and Togashi reflected that part of Goku's character, both those parts of Goku's character in their main characters, just goes to show me that Oda and Togashi are like the best Dragon Ball fanboys on the planet. Like not only do they understand Dragon Ball, they understand Goku's character, and the fact that you can see it in those three characters is why is just a testament to also Goku's character because he shares so much in common with those three, right? Not necessarily the character journey and all that, but well, in the case of Yusuke, Goku's character development and Yusuke's character development, the two lessons and the two ways that they majorly change, right? Learning to kill and learning about the non-human heritage, it's the same, right? In the case of Luffy, and even in the case of Gon, it's like a mix of those sort of things, right? But the fact that those things are like reflected in his character, I think just makes for a very cleverly written character, and Akira Toriyama should definitely be celebrated for doing that. I think it's just a great feat. You have one of the most popular shonen heroes ever, right? Everyone kind of sees him as like this good guy character, right? And he is a good guy character. But everyone always glosses over, and maybe not so much now in Super, lately with Super, but everyone glosses over the fact that he has immoral, poisonous aspects to his character. And, and again, you look at characters like Naruto or Meliodas, I would say even Gintoki, they have alter egos too, they have demon alter egos. Naruto's a good guy, but he has the nine-tailed fox. He has, the Jinchuruki forms. Meliodas is a good guy, but he's the Demon King. Gintoki is a good guy, but he was known as Shiroyasha, White Demon, when he was younger, There's even Natsu Dragneel, seen as a good guy, he's a demon created by, what's his name, Zeref, So it's not necessarily, I'm not necessarily talking about the fact that, that the character is like good and then he has like a demon side to it. And demon, when I say demon, I mean like biologically demon or appearance wise demon, that sort of thing, right? I'm more so talking about the behavior of the character, where they act willingly in a sane state of mind, right? They willingly do those immoral actions, and that's what Goku, Luffy, Gon, and Yusuke all have in common. And again, that's why I say those three characters are really Goku's children. Just as much as Gohan and Goten are Goku's children, those three, in my opinion, are just as much Goku's children as those two are. As those two are. So anyway, that's kind of like the end of the video. I just thought it was an interesting topic for me to talk about. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? Goku's a cleverly written character for this, and Toriyama should be celebrated for it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.